The legal landscape in Hollywood has always been filled with tension, but the recent developments involving Blake Lively have taken it to an entirely new level. What started as a quiet legal disagreement has now exploded into a massive confrontation, drawing widespread attention from fans, media, and legal experts alike. Blake Lively, a beloved figure in the entertainment industry, found herself at the center of a legal firestorm. Her involvement in a case that initially appeared minor soon grew into something much more complex and far-reaching, with the public watching closely. Each new revelation added layers to the growing controversy. In the beginning, the case seemed manageable. A legal complaint was filed that questioned certain decisions made by Blake and her representatives. These were seen by many as procedural issues, minor errors that could be clarified with a simple explanation. However, the opposing side, led by actor and filmmaker Justin Baldoni, took a different approach. Justin and his team argued that the case was not about simple missteps, but rather about a pattern of behavior that needed to be scrutinized. They presented documents and witness accounts that painted a far more serious picture. This escalation turned what could have been a quick resolution into a prolonged and public legal battle. As the case began to unfold, more parties started to take interest. Legal commentators weighed in, media outlets published front-page stories, and social media users began discussing every detail. Public interest was no longer just about the celebrities involved. It became a larger discussion about justice, fairness, and accountability. Behind the scenes, Blake Lively's team worked tirelessly to manage the growing pressure. They released carefully worded statements aimed at reassuring the public and maintaining her image as a respected professional. However, these efforts were often met with skepticism as the other side continued to release more detailed claims. What made the situation even more intense was the level of transparency demanded by the public. Every document filed in court, every appearance by Blake or her legal team was scrutinized and debated. Rumors swirled with every development, and speculation filled the gaps between official statements. The court proceedings began to reflect the high stakes of the case. Lawyers on both sides engaged in heated debates. Judges issued warnings about courtroom decorum, and witnesses faced intense questioning. It became clear to everyone watching that this was not just another celebrity dispute. As the chapter ends, the tone of the legal battle is clearly shifting from cautious engagement to full-scale confrontation, with both sides digging in and public support divided. The next phase of the case promises to be even more revealing and consequential. In this unfolding legal battle opens with a series of critical developments that place Blake Lively's team in an increasingly vulnerable position as the opposing counsel ramps up their efforts. The court is presented with new documents that challenge the narrative previously offered by Blake's representatives. Legal analysts begin to examine the filings in greater detail, uncovering inconsistencies and gaps in the information presented by Lively's team. These findings become the basis for further motions and demands for additional documentation. The judge overseeing the case expresses concern about the slow pace of discovery and issues a directive urging both sides to cooperate fully. In response to these demands, Blake's legal team convenes emergency meetings. They sift through volumes of material, reviewing emails, texts, and internal memos, looking for anything that could support their case or explain the discrepancies raised by the other side. Every document becomes a potential key to either strengthening their defense or exposing new weaknesses. At the same time, the media continues to follow every turn of the case. Major outlets dedicate airtime to panel discussions. Legal experts are brought in to provide commentary, and online communities dissect the developments. With astonishing speed and detail, public opinion begins to sway with each new revelation. A particularly damaging report emerges during this phase, suggesting that a close associate of Blake Lively may have acted independently without proper legal oversight. This allegation becomes a focal point of the ongoing investigation and raises broader questions about the internal dynamics of her team. The court schedules a new round of hearings specifically to address these concerns. During these sessions, attorneys for both sides present detailed arguments supported by charts, timelines, and witness testimony. The atmosphere in the courtroom becomes increasingly intense, with the judge frequently intervening to maintain order. Meanwhile, public reactions become more polarized. Some fans express unwavering support for Blake, insisting that she is being unfairly targeted. Others argue that celebrities should be held to the same legal standards as everyone else. The debate spills over into talk shows, online forums, and even classroom discussions in law schools. Within Blake's inner circle, the pressure mounts. Advisors caution against any missteps and stress the importance of consistency in public messaging. Every statement is carefully vetted, every appearance meticulously planned. Yet despite these efforts, cracks begin to show in one particularly emotional moment during a court recess. Blake is seen leaving the courtroom visibly shaken. Her reaction is captured by the media and quickly circulates online. The image becomes symbolic of the toll the case is taking on her personally and professionally. This ends with a growing sense of urgency as deadlines approach and stakes rise. Both sides prepare for what could be the most critical phase of the trial thus far. The battle is no longer just about legal arguments. It is now a test of endurance, strategy, and public perception. Legal saga begins with an explosive development that takes everyone by surprise. A whistleblower previously unknown to either legal team comes forward with information that could change the course of the case entirely. This individual claims to possess documents that show a deeper and more systematic effort to manipulate the legal process. Immediately, both legal teams respond with urgency. Justin Baldoni's team files a motion to have the new evidence admitted into the court record, while Blake Lively's team questions the credibility and motives of the whistleblower. The judge agrees to a preliminary review of the materials and schedules a special hearing to determine their relevance. The court hearing draws significant attention. Legal experts, journalists, and even retired judges fill the courtroom hoping to witness what could be a turning point in the case. The whistleblower, a former employee of a legal consultancy firm, presents emails, transcripts, and internal communication suggesting that key evidence may have been withheld or altered. This revelation sparks a flurry of activity. Blake's legal team denies any wrongdoing and calls for a full investigation. To clear their name, Justin Baldoni's team insists that the new documents confirm a pattern of deception and obstruction. The judge orders an independent review to assess the authenticity and implications of the evidence. Outside the courtroom, the media goes into overdrive. The whistleblower's testimony becomes a top story across all platforms. Legal commentators dissect the implications, while social media users take sides. Hashtags trend globally and public interest surges. Amid this chaos, Blake's public relations team issues a statement reaffirming her commitment to transparency and truth. They emphasize her cooperation with the investigation and request privacy for her family during this challenging time. While the statement is well crafted, it does little to calm the growing storm. Meanwhile, the whistleblower's claims prompt further scrutiny into past actions by Blake's associates. Questions arise about earlier court filings, media statements, and private communications. Experts debate whether the actions were part of a larger strategy or isolated incidents of poor judgment. The judge overseeing the case warns both parties to avoid public commentary that could influence the proceedings. Additional security is added at the courthouse and restrictions are placed on media access to protect the integrity of the trial. Despite these efforts, the atmosphere remains electric. Rumors continue to circulate, speculation runs rampant, and tensions are at an all-time high. The legal process moves forward, but now under the intense spotlight of global attention. As this chapter closes, it becomes clear that the introduction of the whistleblower has fundamentally altered the trajectory of the case. What was once a contentious but manageable legal dispute has now become a high-stakes battle, with implications far beyond the courtroom. The next phase will test the strength, resilience, and credibility of everyone involved.